Quiet. Go ahead, your coffee, you ready to go here?
Yeah.
We have a big day, and being patriotic Americans, we're all going to rise and salute our flag. Everybody please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to call on our Vice President Arnie to give a report of our guest. Arnie?
Good morning, folks. I'd like to announce all the guests that have joined us this morning. Please hold your applause until I'm done. Evelyn DePlacy, Senator Berman's office. Gabriella Ferraro, Tax Collector's office. Ramsey Buckley, Palm Beach County Planning and Zoning and Building Department. Howie Zimmerman, Palm Beach County Property Appraiser's office. Rosemary Raymond, Lake Worth Drainage District. Felix Abrams, Palm Beach Sheriff's Office. Laura Corey, South Florida Water Management District. Ed Saul, Emily Schlossberg's office. Jocelyn Absher, Senator Rader's office. Terry Mitzi from Tina Polsky's office. Dana Ackerman-White, Dave Kerner's office. Jenny Caesar, Congresswoman Lois Frankel's office. Megan White, Commissioner Berger's office. Alexandra Aguila, Commissioner Weinroth's office. And welcome to everybody. Thanks for being here.
We do have a busy day today. As you can see, we have a lot of guests here, a lot of members here, which we're happy to see. And so we're just going to move along. We're going to call on the Captain Sand to give us your area report. Captain, are you here? Come on. Yeah, give him a big round of applause.
Thank you, Bob. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to see you all as usual. Hope everybody's doing well. Seems like we got a busy day today, so I'm going to make it real brief. I'm going to give a couple of updates we have going on. You remember I touched on the vehicle burglaries, right? Lock the door, lock the door, lock the door. It seems that you guys, when I mean you guys, the community is starting to lock the doors. How do I know that? Because the crime has gone down. Thank you. A lot of the videos we're watching, we watch the suspects. They're still out there, so please don't let your guard down. A lot of the videos we're watching, the criminals are going to the doors, the car's shaking the handles, and once they realize the car is locked, they move on. They move on. So knock on wood, let's see if we can keep that going. Good news is one of the prolific burglars in the area we did catch, and we put him exactly where he needed to be. So that was the Lexington community, whoever lives in Lexington. We got him out of the way, and it seems that he was responsible for a lot of the crime because it's kind of fallen off. So that's good. Second off, the scams. Remember we touched on the scams? I got the VAST team in place. They're at the district, ready to go, working hand in glove with the detectives. But I got a case that came across my desk here that bothered me a lot, and I think it's going to bother you. The gentleman was scammed out of $203,000. $203,000. Now, to me, that's a whole lot of money. To some, maybe not. But I'm suspecting $203,000 is going to be missed by this gentleman. So please, hang up the phone. If you're not sure, don't invite these people to your house. This was a computer-generated call up, and they were posing as a computer monitoring company. Computer monitoring company. So one of the questions I asked the detective, did this gentleman even have a computer? And you think I was kidding, but this is what these people are doing. They're preying on people all the time. All right? Last but not least, I'm not sure you guys are all aware of the couple of recent crashes we've had in Lynn and John. It's a very difficult intersection. Okay? Even very difficult for us to police because we can't take a real good position to set up because of the way it's designed. That being said, we've had a couple of crashes, one pedestrian involved. So what I did was I preemptively launched a little study on it for about a month. Got our unit down there, checking the speed, watching the behaviors, the traffic patterns, and what we're realizing is this. I know this is going to come as a surprise to you, but we're having people run the red lights, want to beat the lights, not wanting to wait for the yield of traffic while they're making the turns on red. And the pedestrian traffic is not as bad as far as crossing, but they're walking outside the crosswalks and they're walking against traffic. So please take this back to your communities, take it back to your friends, your family. Help us help you with this as well. And what I've done is, now that we've realized that we do have a problem there, I've launched some traffic enforcement, getting the motor guys down there and some patrol cars down there. So please be very mindful, hint, hint, please be very mindful when you're traveling through Linton and Congress, or Linton and Jog, excuse me. Right? Have a great day. Let's see you have a good day.
Thank you, Captain. And Sheen Erickson, Sheen, Fire Rescue. We welcome you, Sheen. First time we've seen you.
Okay, I am Steen Erickson. I'm here in place of Tony Keeler. I don't look as good as Tony Keeler does up here, but you'll have to deal with me for like 2 minutes, and that's all I'm going to have. Okay, things that you've heard before, I just need to repeat them again. As far as smoke detectors, remember that one of the reminders for us to check our smoke detectors is when we change the clocks forward and we change the clocks back. Now, of course, we just moved the clocks forward for spring. Hopefully, that was your time to check your smoke detector. Also, as you're doing that, if you have the opportunity, there are many smoke detector companies out there now, and their smoke detectors are made with a 10-year battery in there. And then when that 10 years is up, you throw out the whole detector. You don't have to worry about changing the battery every year or every 6 months. So keep that in mind when it comes time for you to check your detectors. You might want to consider investing. They're not that expensive. You may want to consider investing in one of the new smoke detectors that have that built-in 10-year battery. It really is the way to go. So keep that in mind. You're going to hear it over and over again, but smoke detectors have been proven for decades on how important they are and how much they can save someone's life. Secondly, it is only the beginning of April, but that also brings up the fact that we are only 2 months away from the start of hurricane season, so it's never too early to start preparing for that sort of thing. Get all your plans together, and you're going to be hearing about this in the next couple months as we get closer to hurricane season. But get your plan together, and if you happen to have shutters, especially the accordion type, that was a good time to maybe have those rollers on those accordion shutters lubricated so they're not so difficult for you to close. If you can't do it yourself, reach out to somebody and see if there are companies out there that will come and actually maintain those for you and get them prepared. So just, again, smoke detectors, and try to keep in mind that start your preparations now. It's never too early to start preparations for hurricane season. And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. A message from our Sheriff Bradshaw.
Yes, Leslie Schreiberg's right here, and she's got a little problem walking up the steps today, so she's gonna just have a bad back. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I have some great news to share with everybody. Sheriff Bradshaw was invited to testify, this was last week, was invited to testify at the United States Congress, specifically the United States Senate, in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee. And he testified about his behavioral services unit. I'll get to that in a second, but he was the only law enforcement professional in the entire country that was invited to testify. Absolutely. He is the best sheriff. And FYI, he's in Tallahassee today testifying in front of FDLE. And I believe the governor, I don't know this for a fact, but the governor, the Speaker of the House, and the President of the Senate were also invited to sit in. So this is huge news for Palm Beach County. It's huge. So when we say we have a sheriff that has national attention, I guess the expression is we're not whistling Dixie. He is. Behavioral Services Unit was formed by the sheriff. It's new, and it was formed to talk to people who are at risk. For example, when you know that the young man who's alleged to have done all the Parkland shooting, his brother was one of the people that was helped by the Behavioral Services Unit. The brother was ready to go off the edge because of what his brother had done. I don't want to get into that, but so there's something called the Red Flag Law, and this is all tied in together. And briefly, the Red Flag Law means that a law enforcement professional can go into a court, ask the judge for a warrant, and go into a house of someone who was deemed to be a challenge mentally, physically, violent, you name it, and remove all weapons from that house. Does not have to be a gun. It can be kitchen knives, it can be a rock collection. So that's the red flag law. It's doing well in Tallahassee. They're trying to pass something like that in the United States, and I think it's great. Anyway, so I want to thank you all for your support, and I think it's fabulous that we have such a wonderful sheriff, even though he signed my paycheck, and that's why I'm saying this, but it's pretty nice for us in Palm Beach County to have a sheriff who's getting such fabulous recognition. And turn around, look at those three handsome guys over there. Those are three of the men that protect you every day in this county. Thank you.
Thank you. As usual, okay, I'm going to introduce, I don't have to introduce Dr. Laurie. We had some very interesting and important information she's going to give it to you now before people leave. I will.
Okay, a few things, really super wonderful things are happening here in Delray Beach. Our Delray Medical Center is top 50 in the United States of hospitals and #1 in Florida. This is where we get all of our medical attention, our emergencies, and all. It's a Trauma One center, and that is just really wonderful to note that. One other thing is that, remember there's yellow dots, and there's all sorts of other things. Well, we have a new one. It is for your pets. And I have a handful here. If anybody has a pet, and you can put this in your window in your house, and it even puts down how many pets you have in case there's any fire emergency, they'll know that your pets are there. This is something that's going to be coming from our Palm Beach County Fire Rescue, and we'll be able to get more of these. If anybody needs them, and I run out of them this month, I'll give them to you next month. Also, you've got save the dates for next year. A whole lot on here, and there's going to be more. And the ones that are highlighted dark are special events with special different dates, like board certification. We've got some other interesting expos that are going to happen. And we'll update that in September because there's going to be more. A few things about development in the area. The corner of Atlantic Avenue and the Turnpike. We were getting lots of calls on there a couple of weeks ago about the clearing. Oh, they're clearing all of this. Well, that is, to let everybody know, that is from a turnover from the developer to the Palm Beach County. They have to create that's a civic site there, future civic site right next to the Turnpike. And it had to be cleared of all non-natives and brought up to a certain level of dirt and soil. So that's what had to be done. And we are working, the Alliance is helping and working out with one of our communities, Tuscany, to help them because they've got a little bit of an issue because that was cleared, there's some open land there, and we are working with the developer in Tuscany on that, and we'll get some positive results from there, hopefully in the near future. The other thing is, if you've been into the Agricultural Reserve, you've seen the Wawas going up at 441 Atlantic. About 3 years ago it was, Bob, that we met with Wawa. We told them that the corner of Lyons and Atlantic would not be the best place for a Wawa, and we would oppose that. It should go where the Stop and Shop, where already the entitlements for a gas station were at the corner of Atlantic and 441. And they really didn't want to go there, but in the end, they came and we're welcoming them there. That is an evacuation route, 441, and that's where it should go. And the residents my development happens to be right next to that, and people are actually looking forward to seeing Wawa and getting their coffee and their gas. Can you believe it? And Joseph's is coming at the corner of Lyons and Atlantic in that little shopping area, and all of these between Wawa and Joseph's by the end of May, beginning of June, these should be open. Joseph's Italian Market. Most people know about it. There's one in Boca. There's in other parts of the county. And it's a nice place for catering and delicious food, but that's an anchor store for that small neighborhood mall that we need neighborhood services there. The Delray Marketplace is great the way it is, but that doesn't give the neighborhood stores like that this is going to be offering. At the corner of Hagen Ranch and Atlantic, the issue there is called Terra Nova Project, and the Alliance is working really very diligently on that with our associations. We've got all sorts of issues with different associations, and we've even, this morning I have some papers from one of our community's waterways, and we understand we're putting it all together. It's not till the end of April when this is going to come to the county commissioners, but if whatever it is, what they're going to be voting on at the county commissioners is an initiation of an amendment, not the approval of an amendment, initiation. So we're just going to see, but we're still working on that, getting all of our communities together, and we are 100% behind all of our communities. So it's a tough thing this year, but we're facing it. The main problem is that we know, and it's all about Atlantic Avenue, and that's what we're going to be hearing about today. So the expansion and density and all. One great thing is that the Alliance has been working on that manure processing issue in the agricultural reserve for years now, because manure processing does not belong, this industrial use does not belong in the agricultural reserve. And fortunately, it was a month or two ago, or a few weeks ago, that the Board of County Commissioners, as the Solid Waste Authority, they are citing a certain place on Southern Boulevard that is industrial, that there might be this manure processing facility maybe out there, because there's not a whole lot of them that are coming to the county. It's this one right now, it's a test, and it'll probably be up on Southern Boulevard. We'll be following that closely. We need to keep it out of the agricultural reserve. Absolutely.
Kind of next door to some of our homes.
Yes.
When they wanted to put it.
Yes, it was there. We always, when it comes to poisoning, that's the thing that we jump on. And that's why you saw that Lake O letter that we wrote. It's been on the email, it's been in our packet, in our flyers, that Lake O, because that Lake O level affects us. When that Lake O level goes down, then we have an issue with possible saltwater intrusion into our wells that we have. And then if certain wells go bad, they start shutting them down. Then our water pressure gets lower. And that's all sorts of issues. So believe it or not, that giant water, Lake Okeechobee, affects us tremendously. So we're working on that, and next month, I was going to end with this, but I have one more thing after this. The soil and water conservation, next month, this is a big meeting all about soil and water conservation. We're having people from the state here. This is our final one before the June breakfast, which is going to be fantastic because we'll be learning about some of our new medical technology that's coming. So next month we'll have the discussion on the soil and water conservation. But has anybody been out to the post office out by 441 in Atlantic? It is now totally sterile. It is clean. That's all because the Alliance wrote a letter to Congresswoman Frankel. Thank you so much, Congresswoman Frankel. She got behind it. And it's pressure washed, and it's all been cleared. So that's really great. Really, really great, yeah. And the one thing I was asked by somebody, it was an email late last night, one of our community members asked me to comment on a certain bill. Now, think of it this way, there are 68 bills that have been put into the legislature this year that directly impact HOAs and COAs. 68 bills, so there's a lot to go over, but this one the person was concerned about, but it's going slowly through committees, and who knows, may not even be heard. It was supposed to go into one committee, and it wasn't considered. Now it's supposed to go into another committee, and it's not on their agenda that we see, so we're following it closely, and this bill is about vacation rentals. We don't want to have our hands tied in HOAs to keep things like people renting out their homes for $99 a night. And if something like this legislation goes through, you might be able to do that, and in an HOA, people would be able to do it in an HOA, local law couldn't stop that. We don't want that to happen, but it's really, we don't have many committee meetings left, not many committee weeks left, so this may not be heard, even, it may not go through, but we'll keep you informed of all that.
Well, thank you, Johnny. I have one thing. March is Tuesday with the Delray Alliance. We ask you to check with your community whether they've sent a donation to help support our operation. With that, I'm going to call on Commissioner Weinberg. Commissioner, introduce them.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I'm going to be doing a tag team with Commissioner Berger, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the commission matters, and Commissioner Berger is going to take a few others. How many of you have ever been in an Uber before? Anybody? Where? Uber or Lyft, one of those? Okay. I want to tell you something that you need to realize. These are unmarked vehicles for the most part. Some of them have the U on it, some say Lyft on it, but it's not like the checker taxi, the yellow taxi. We had a very unfortunate incident happen in the Carolinas, you probably read about it, where a young lady got into a vehicle, she thought it was an Uber, and she was murdered. It was not an Uber. It was someone who just picked her up, and it was the wrong person to get in their car, and they died. It's important that we make sure that if you're going to use one of these ride services, if you're using an app, you're going to have the license plate. Make sure you check the license plate against the vehicle that's stopping for you. And if you don't have that information, ask the driver to tell you your name. They will know who they're picking up. Do not get in a car, and don't let your friends get in a car or your relatives get in a car unless they know who they're getting in the car. You certainly wouldn't just get in the car on the street here and hitchhike. So don't let your guard down just because this is a very convenient way of getting around. It was a very unfortunate situation. We have contacted our legislators up in Tallahassee. This has been preempted by the state. We can't make regulations here in Palm Beach County to tell them they have to mark the vehicles appropriately. But hopefully our state reps and our state senators will be able to change it. So please be very, very careful. If you use these ride services, make sure that you're getting into the right vehicle. Now, something else going on. We just started a new program. In fact, Mayor Bernard announced it on April 1st, and it wasn't April Fool's Day, but we announced that the census is 1 year from April 1st. The census will be April 1st, 2020. Anybody in the county, whether you are a resident, whether you are an immigrant, whoever is in the county on April 1st gets counted. Why is this important? Because this is how we get money from the federal government. This is how they apportion seats in Congress. This has a lot to do with how much money this county will get for roads, for schools, for all the things that we're looking for. And we will probably, in 2021 or 22, get 2 more congressional seats because so many people have been moving down here over the last 10 years. 2 more congressional seats means 2 more seats in the Electoral College. So it makes us more powerful during the presidential election. Not the next one coming up because that'll be after the 2020 election, but in the future it's important. It's important that you get involved and make sure everybody you know gets themselves counted. There will be over 450,000 people hired throughout the country to be enumerators. This year they're paying $17.50 an hour. It's not a bad gig as a part-time job, but it's much better to be able to give your information either online or by mail. It costs a lot less, about 50 cents per person versus $50 per person if they have to send an enumerator out. So the census is coming. You're going to hear a lot about it over the next year. It's very important to our county. It's very important to our state. And please make sure that you participate. So with that, I'm going to introduce my partner, Commissioner Berger.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good morning, Commissioner Berger. How are you? Here you go.
Thank you, Bob. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Oh, you can do better than that. Good morning, everybody. much better, much better. I missed you guys last month.
We missed you.
Well, I'm glad. But I'm back. Commissioner Weinroth, Commissioner Weiss, Commissioner McKinley, and I were all away last month. No, not a vacation. Bob says vacation. No, I wish. We started off by flying up to Washington, D.C. for a National Association of Counties conference, and that was very productive for us. It is amazing to get together with county commissioners from all over the United States, including Hawaii and Alaska, and trade stories, trade how we do things, how do we handle zoning, how do we handle land use, how do we deal with traffic. And by the way, welcome to the FDOT for being here with us today. So that exchange of ideas brings us back with renewed energy to move forward as a commission taking care of you, because we bring new ideas back with us. From Washington, we then flew to Tallahassee for Palm Beach County Day. And Palm Beach County Day this one was one of the best we've had. We have a lot of people from Palm Beach County that come up for that. And I see that our school board member Karen Brill is here, and Karen came up to Palm Beach County Day along with some of the other members of the school board. The county, I think we had 5 of the 7 county commissioners who were able to get up there. And that is where you spend the day making sure that our legislators in Tallahassee know that we here in Palm Beach County are paying attention. We know what the bills are. We know what we need for our people. And we visit each and every one of our local people, such as Lori Berman, Emily Schlossberg, et cetera, you know who our locals are. And we bring our agenda with us, and we speak to them, urge them to do the things that are right, to bring everything home. And they enjoy us being there that very first day, because it's kind of a whirlwind. Nobody knows what's going on. And I still, after 6 years, have not found my way around that Capitol. It's the most confusing building in the world. And if I didn't have people pushing me and saying, get on the elevator, I would not find my way around there. But it was a good exchange of ideas. Our legislators get pumped up because we're there to support them, so that makes them ready to go and fight for the things that we need and to bring everything back to you. And I know that they'll be here at some point reporting to you on what was done in Tallahassee during this session. So that's where we've been. We have not been playing hooky. We have been working for you, getting things done, meeting with our representatives and senators. One of the big things that we push at the Tallahassee level is home rule. There have been 1 or 2 bills filed that would hamper us as a county commission in taking care of you, local government. They want to prevent us from being able to do the things they want to take over. And we're very much against that. We joined together as a state, county commissioners from all over the state together to try to kill that bill. I think there's 2 bills actually. And we need to kill them. Home rule is extremely important. Nobody knows our constituents better than we do. You know us, you trust us, we know you, we trust you. We need that exchange of ideas. We need to hear from you. And to have somebody rule you from Tallahassee, I don't think is a good idea. So anyway, with that, I will end because we've had a long line of speakers this morning. But it's good to be back, and I will see you next month. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yes, when they get together in Tallahassee, bad things happen. Karen Brill. Karen represents us to the school board. She has a brief, hopefully, message.
Good morning, everybody. So can you believe we only have 8.5 more weeks of school? I can't believe it. Anyway, before I mention a couple of things, I just want to wish everybody a happy Easter and a happy Passover. And I'm not going to go into the bills that are going on up in Tallahassee right now, except to say we remain committed to never arming anyone in our schools except for our school police. So you have our commitment about that, okay? And I know you have a lot of papers on your table, so I didn't pass these out. But for anyone interested, outside on the table, I left the Palm Beach Adult and Community Educator. For those of you that may not be familiar, we offer night classes like cooking, exercise, computers, we have golf. And even if you can't go this semester, I thought you might want to pick up a copy and take a look at some of the things that we do offer in the evenings. We have a wonderful program all around the county. So help yourselves, and again, a very happy holiday to everybody. Yes?
That's what I like, okay. Last but not least, I'm going to call on our sponsor tonight, Brook Street, Joe Cananavan, I think it is. We welcome him here, but we also welcome the competition. I personally, I can't speak for all of you, welcome the competition that they'll be giving to Comcast. They've had their own way too long here. Joe?
Thank you very much, Robert. Thank you, everybody, for having us in today. My name is Joe Canavan. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Bluestream. We provide TV, internet, and phone service to communities like yours across the state. It's nice to see some familiar faces in here from Emerald Point, Abbey Village, and some of the high points as well. When we provide TV, internet, and phone services, we do it over a fiber optic network. And what that does when we put a new network in your community is it upgrades the community, and it also provides more reliable TV, internet, and phone. And beyond just reliability from the fiber optics, we also focus on customer service, because we know that as board members, one of the most important decisions you can make for your community is what is the TV, internet, and phone service that all of your neighbors are going to use 24/7, 365. That's why we provide customer service guarantees, including answering the phone in a minute, fixing problems in your home the same day or the next day, and guaranteed internet speed. I would love to have an opportunity to talk with you guys and your communities about your community's needs. Myself, Jenny Sanchez, and Aaron are in the back of the room. If you guys have any questions, or you're looking to convert over your bulk contract sometime in the next 2 years, please stop by and say hi to us. And again, thank you for having us in today.
Thank you. We're welcome. With that, we're going to get to the main event. Everything has been very important, but nothing more important than Atlantic Avenue. So I will turn it back to Laurie, and he's going to call on the people who are going to give you the word.
Yes. Wow. Great. Now it's time to relax and enjoy this wonderful program, which is going to be very informative. Atlantic Avenue design and timeline updates, including the interchange widening and the east and west thoroughfares. And this is all the Florida Department of Transportation. I'm going to let them take care of the whole program. There's 3 speakers. One will introduce the other. We have Took Lee, and Alexander Estrada and Teresa Price, all engineers from the Department of Transportation. Each has their own portion of that Turnpike and Atlantic Avenue. So please help me welcome, it's Teresa that's going to start the presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Lori. Well, it's great to be here. Good morning to everybody. Good morning. All right, you all did better for the commissioner. Can we say good morning? Or I can just leave. That's fine too. So everybody good? You got enough coffee? Thank you for the wave. I appreciate it. Well, we're here as a partner. So Dr. Lori reached out and asked if we would come and kind of give you an update. I work for the Florida's Turnpike. I'm a consultant. I work with Atkins, and I'm actually housed at the Turkey Lake Plaza, and I manage particular projects for the Turnpike. And then Tuck and Alex actually work in the District 4 office. And so we are one DOT working together, and particularly at the Atlantic Avenue interchange. Our projects will be coordinating together, and so our slides will actually show that in more detail. All right, so as we're going through the presentation this morning, our focus is going to be to talk about our project development process, show you our project location, talk about existing conditions, improvements that are under evaluation, upcoming projects, and then adjacent projects that are going to be happening in the very near future, and then give you kind of an overall project status as far as the mainline widenings that are going to be coming forth, and then we will open it up for Q&A. So this flow diagram is really kind of just wanting to give you a visual, and I'm sure we all know in this room that a project doesn't just We don't talk about a project tomorrow. Well, typically, let me say this, let me preference this. Typically, we don't talk about a project like yesterday and then we get up tomorrow morning and then you see construction, all right? There might be a few exceptions, but typically, and particularly for the Florida Department of Transportation, there is a process that we have to follow, that we're required to follow, actually legislatively, that we actually include and go through this process that we're actually showing you here in this flow diagram. So we start with the planning process. And that means that we're doing kind of feasibility studies. We're kind of looking to see, hey, does it even make sense to have a project here? After we get through that, and we all say, okay, we agree that it makes sense to have a project here, then we go to what we call our project development and environment process, which we call PD&E. I'm sure a lot of you have heard that acronym. And that is a process where we actually go through, evaluate, if we're looking at an interchange, we're looking at concepts, we work with our engineering team, whether it be in-house or we hire a consultant to come in, and we kind of develop the plan, and we come up with these concepts, and then we actually then begin to have public information meetings, we have a public hearing. All of that is a part of the PD&E process, okay, which can take years. And then a part of that process, so that's kind of preliminary, what we call preliminary design, okay? So we're kind of conceptually, we think that this is what can work here. Conceptually, we think that this is how we can address the challenges, be it traffic or whatever it may be, as far as how to address and solve the problem. And then once we go through our public hearing and we basically say, okay, this is what we're intending to do. We have a public hearing, we intend to construct this project. Then we go into design, which can take up to 2 years. Sometimes it can take longer than that. It can be shorter than that, depending upon what type of project it is. And then as we're doing design, kind of midway through, about a year into it, then we start our right-of-way process. When needed, we then acquire property. Unfortunately, that can happen to some of us that are in the room, and we have people that have happened to, where there's no way that we can build an interchange and without taking property in certain situations. So that's when we actually have to buy that property, or what we call right-of-way acquisition. That process actually takes 2 years. Sometimes it can take longer than that. And then we go to construction. Construction could be a few months, or it could then take 4 or 5 years. And then after we get through building the project, then we actually are responsible for maintaining, right, our system. And you've seen some resurfacing that has taken place and those different type of projects that take place as far as maintaining the system until we come through and actually do major design. Okay, so again, very, very, very long process. And what the department's goal is to coordinate with our stakeholders, and that's why we're here today, because we want to develop that relationship, develop that partnership, and just want to reassure you that you do have a voice. You will have an opportunity to look at what we're designing. We'll get to hear the feedback, work with our engineering team, and then make a decision as far as what makes sense as far as going through the public hearing process. Now, I know there's times where that doesn't seem fair and it hasn't happened, but hopefully you're seeing that things are changing, and we are very, very active as far as wanting to develop that partnership. And again, that is part of the reason why we're here today. So here we are showing particularly our mainline widening projects on the Florida Turnpike, and I'm actually the project manager for the projects that are highlighted in the red box. Apologize if you can't see it very well on the screen, but I'm going to actually start from the bottom in the red box. And basically all of these mainline widening projects, basically from milepost 71 to I think it's about 86, there expands 2 counties, Broward County and Palm Beach County. So in the red box, there's actually 2 FPID numbers. So these are the numbers that we use, financial purpose identification number, that we use from a funding standpoint to identify where money is going to a particular project. And so we have to have, if it splits over a county, I have to have an FPID number attached to the different county. And so from north of Sawgrass to Glades, to north of Glades Road, we have the two FPID numbers. And that's 415927-1 and 418214-1. And yes, there will be a pop quiz at the end of this, so make sure you're taking notes and you might win a prize. Okay, so in this particular, pretty much all the way through the mainline widening projects, we are going to be basically going from our existing 6 lanes to 10 lanes. And the new road will be, that'll be 10 lanes with express lanes. And construction funding is not in our 5-year work program, meaning we basically fund our programs in 5-year chunks. And so our current work program, there is not construction funding for the mainline widening projects. But right on the outside of the 5-year program, we do have construction, but in our current work program, we do not have construction. The green box, kind of the lime green box at the top, and in the middle rather, is 417132-1, and that's north of Glades Road to Atlantic Avenue. And again, same project, widening from 6 to 10 lanes. Construction is outside of the 5-year work program. And then the pink box is 437169-1, and that's our north of Atlantic Avenue to Boynton Beach Boulevard. And again, widening 6 to 10 lanes with express lanes, and our construction funding is outside of our 5-year work program. Oh, went the wrong way, sorry about that. Okay, so what this is that we've kind of basically cut the road in half, and we're taking a picture and looking at it, like cutting a cake, right? And we're taking a picture and looking at it, looking north. And so what we're seeing here is what we call an existing typical section, and we're showing what you all drive every day. So the 3 lanes in both directions, north and south. Now all the stuff that's in that kind of that brown part, there's a lot of different little white dots that are all through there and different leaders points everywhere, and I apologize that you probably can't read it, but it's basically showing you all the things that we've got to design around, the design team has to design around when we're coming in here and widening this project. So for the mainline widening, we're going to actually hold our east edge of pavement, and we're going to widen all the way to the west. So we're going to widen the 3 general purpose toll lanes, and then we will have 2 express lanes in the middle, both north and south. So the express lanes will be in the middle. All right, and again, this is the typical section from the north of the Sawgrass Expressway to north of Boynton Beach Boulevard. And then also just showing you, as you know, the Lake Worth Drainage District, so we've got canals on both the east and the west side, and then we've also got Florida Gas, right, FGT. And so those are 2 key stakeholders that we really are working with as far as our proposed design. How do we fit in between all of the stuff that we're showing here on this cross section? So, typical section. So improvements under evaluation. So we're just looking at the Glades Road, and again, that's FPID 418214-1. So this is the portion from Palm Beach County to north of Glades Road, milepost 71 to 76. So we've already talked about that we are again widening to a 10 lane, going from 6 lanes to 10 lanes with express lanes. Not sure as far as implementing those express lanes. We're still working on that from a department standpoint. So most likely when we open up the project from construction standpoint, we will not be implementing express lanes at that time. The express lanes would be implemented with a different project, but the lanes would be constructed, and then we would come back and then open those lanes up for usage as far as express lanes and being able to manage traffic and volume of traffic. At the Glades Road interchange, we are going to be reconstructing that interchange, and the design team currently has developed concepts that have been evaluated by the department, and then we're now actually going to be meeting with District 4 on tomorrow to kind of discuss what we've come up as a team. And then at the appointed time, which I'll speak to in a minute during our PD&E reevaluation, we would then have public informational meetings where we would then show a concept or concepts as far as getting public involvement, input on those particular concepts. So again, we've not made a decision, there's not been a determination of what the new interchange is going to look like. Concepts have been developed and are currently underneath evaluation. We're doing a lot of stakeholder coordination with FGT and Lake Worth Drainage District. We've been working on that. I've been here almost about a year, and since day one, we've been having coordination with Lake Worth Drainage District and with the Florida Gas, with FGT. So we are feeling pretty good about their buy-in on what our proposed typical section is as far as the design criteria that we want to build the new road to, widening the turnpike to. But we're still got couple more meetings to basically feel good and strong as far as the design team proceeding with that design. So a lot of stakeholder coordination is taking place, and again, even meetings like this today is considered stakeholder coordination. And then what we, on the second slide, I showed you our process. The second box was that PD&E. So there was a PD&E that was done where was it from? Sawgrass to Glades, right? Okay, thank you. From Sawgrass to Glades. And that was done in 2008, I was off by a year, darn it. So 2008, and that basically said we were going to widen to 8 lanes. So now we looking at our traffic projections to 2045, we know that we need 10 lanes. So we don't want to build 8 lanes and then come back again, right, and build another 2 lanes. You would prefer that we do it all at once. Can everybody raise their hand? Yes. Awesome. We have a consensus. All right. So since I want to say changed our minds, but basically our traffic projections are saying that we need to do 10 lanes. We now have made a change, and that's why we have to basically come back to the public and say, okay, we now need to go from not just from 6, not to 8, but 6 to 10. And in addition, for the Glades Road portion, so Palm Beach County to north of Glades Road, we're going to be reconstructing that Glades interchange, and so that will be a part of the PD&E evaluation. So again, that is underneath it's basically happening now from the standpoint of the team, looking at the concepts, and then we're actually going through what we call negotiations with our design teams to actually now turn on that design and really get geared up for this PD&E reevaluation and go all the way to final design. And then again, the design is underway, and we are designing from the standpoint of 2045 traffic needs. So our adjacent projects that are at the Glades Road interchange, the one that has actually been completed, it was actually completed about almost a year ago, is our northbound exit ramp. And so hopefully you all have seen a benefit from having that additional lane coming off the turnpike and then exiting off from northbound and exiting off the turnpike. We added an extra lane. And then we've got design underway for our southbound. We're going to actually add an auxiliary lane that will help those that are coming on from the south to actually have more time as far as getting into the flow of traffic on the turnpike. And so that's under design and anticipating construction to be around 2021. All right, so now I'm going to go to Atlantic Avenue, and everybody's like, oh. Are y'all okay? Like, you're not gonna throw anything at me, right? Not yet. Oh man. Okay, so now I'm ready. I can shuck and jive if I need to. Okay, no problem. I get it. I understand. Very frustrating. I understand. And we were kind of talking on the sidebar that we know that there are needs that are there, and we know they need to be addressed. So I'm not going to go through pretty much what I just said from the standpoint of what we're doing from a mainline widening project and all of that. That's pretty much the same. We are going to be making some improvements to the Atlantic Avenue interchange, mainly dealing with, because we're going to be widening, adding that addition and additional lanes as far as our ramps and things like that, but we will not be doing an interchange reconstruction like we're going to be doing at Glegs. And then Tuck is going to come up, and Tuck and Alex are going to talk about the District 4 projects along Atlantic Avenue.
Good morning. My name is Tuck Lee. I'm the project manager for the... I'm sorry. How about now? Yeah. Good? All right. I'm the design project manager for the Florida Department of Transportation, District 4. Come to you as a neighbor. I live in Monterey State, right here off of Hagen Range. My kids go to school right here. I'm going to drop them off this morning. I'm going to talk to you about the reconstruction of State Road 806 on Atlantic, depicted here in red, that will span from State Road 7, US 441, all the way to Lyons Road. All right. The scope of the project is to reconstruct the existing 2-lane roadway to 4-lane divided, and with provision for 6-lane in the future if it needs for 6 lanes. It's the same road if you are visiting Delray Marketplace. The same typical, you're projecting out to 441. Same typical. All right. The project we have buffer bike lanes, 7-foot buffer bike lanes, sidewalks, and we also are going to modify the signal with mass arm at 441 intersection. Right now, we finished the initial phase and getting ready for the right-of-way phase, which was the process that Teresa mentioned earlier.
What does that mean? When?
The preliminaries for the project just get finished, and we are looking to go and get the right-of-way for the roadway.
What does that mean?
Y'all gotta be more nicer now, come on now. No, I'm just kidding. So what he's talking about is, so as we go through design, so we're nailed down with our design, and so we're identifying where right-of-way is required. And as we go through that, we'll develop maps, we'll go through our right-of-way staff, legal descriptions, you know, all of that takes place, appraisals and all of that, and then offers would then be made based upon the legal descriptions, the appraisals, and things from that standpoint.
We are about doing that. I think the right-of-way phase is starting in September of this year. Okay? And then, while the right-of-way phase carry out, we will have a public information meeting where we take public input, and we have that scheduled around August of 2020. We anticipate all right. And the design anticipated to come to a completion in August of 2021. That's where the funding is. The construction funding is for summer of 2022. That's all.
Start? Yes.
Yes. So design is going to be done around August of 2021, and then about 4 to 6 months later, construction is going to start.
How long does it take?
At this time, we don't have a duration for the job yet. But we will, I hope to have all that information at the public information meeting for you guys.
Just to clarify, because this is an important issue here, the right-of-way procurement and all is going to start September this year. So you could write this down, and you correct, just let me know that this is correct. The right-of-way for that portion from Lyons to 441 is going to start September of 2019. Now, in August of 2020, which is a few months later, that's when they're going to have the public meetings. August 2020. 2020 comes after 2019. Okay, so September 2019, they're going to start right-of-way procurements. And like Teresa said in the beginning, it takes about 2 years.
34 months process.
24 months at least to procure all those rights away they need to expand it. And in August 2020, that's when they're going to come to us with some preliminary design. It won't be the final design because they want public input. August 2020, we'll be hearing about that and we'll have the meeting for that. And then the design is actually should be completed in August 2021. Okay, the design. Once they have a design, they're ready to go. And construction funding is for 2022. So from Lyons to 441, the building will start in 2022, correct? Okay? And I just had a question, somebody wrote a question here to me, and this is an appropriate time to ask that. Would construction be during the day or at night or both times? That's the question.
At this time, I don't have the information, but hopefully when we have a public information meeting, we will.
Okay, we'll ask it at the public information meeting. Thank you.
So, thank you.
Talk about all the project along State Road 806. Thank you.
Thanks, Doc. My name is Alex Estrada. I also work with Todd closely on adjacent projects. So my project is from Lyons to Jog Road on Atlantic Avenue. Similar scope with a widening from four existing lanes to a 6-lane typical. This project was broken down into 2 studies. So the portion of Lyons to Turnpike was previously studied, and we just reevaluated that portion to see what are the current traffic projections are. And the portion from Turnpike to Jog Road is going to start in next year, in March of 2020. We're just going to start the PD&E process, which Teresa mentioned before. After the PD&E process, we will go into design. So right now, our design is funded for 2022, which is going to be from Lyons all the way to Jog as one design project. Similar, as I said before, it's the same typical. It's basically continuing that 6 lanes from all the way from Lyons to Jog Road to have that link complete. And our actual construction is funded for 2027 right now. These are future projects. So that's why when Teresa was going over the process, right? We have a planning study, PD&E, design, right away, then construction and maintenance. So usually design takes about 2 years. Right away acquisition could be 24 to 36 months, and then construction will start after that.
Yeah, right. Just to clarify this. Okay, to clarify this, because we had an excellent explanation of Lyons to 441. But for this, now, from the Turnpike to Jog Road, March 2020, you're going to start the PD, and that's procuring rights of way and all.
No.
That is
Just a conceptual. That's going to be the conceptual, basically study to determine which alignment we're going to go with.
So where do the rights of way come in?
That's after that.
So, but your design is 2022. So
they usually overlap. There's a small overlap between PD&E and design. So that's why it's 2 years apart. And then the actual right-of-way would be, I believe, in 2024. That's where we have it.
You're going to start obtaining the right-of-ways in 2024? And that's why
we haven't. we haven't done this study yet, so that's where, we always have a no-build option. We evaluate other alternatives during the PE&E study, so that's where we're gonna start next year. We don't have any concepts right now, we don't have any typicals. This is basically, I'm trying to kind of communicate more of the future projects that are coming up in our work program.
Okay, so the rights of way, after rights of way come the construction. But you're saying 2027. Now, can you clarify why it's 3 years or instead of even 2026? Well, can you explain that?
No money.
Yeah.
Why 2027? Because we were told, you coordinate with the MPO, the TPA. The TPA now, and the TPA is moving up some of those dates with the monies that they're procuring for that.
So right now, this is where the funding is in 2027.
Okay, we'll coordinate with the TPA and we'll get back to you about that.
Yeah. What's a no build, sir?
There was some talk about trying to ease the congestion on Atlantic Avenue by working on the turnpike entrance. Are you aware of that?
Working on it.
The turnpike entrance from Atlantic Avenue onto the turnpike.
So that, you're talking about from Lyons, or you're talking about just Atlantic Avenue to the turnpike? Right.
I'm talking about Atlantic Avenue.
Yes, sir, those improvements will be a part of the main line widening, yes.
That's not going to be done before.
What does that
No.
mean?
Yes, they will be done before? Okay, okay. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, so we've got, I'm sorry, so there's an AT, which, I'm sorry, I did show that on the slide. So there's a, yeah, I'm sorry, so there is so the Atlantic, so there'll be an ATE project, correct. So that, as far as, and that's our all electronic tolling project that'll take place, so you will see some improvements there related to the ATE project.
What does some improvements mean? What is the description of some improvements?
Hold on 1 second.
Hi, my name is Bert Waldo. I work with Teresa. The AET project is a separate project that is
What
going
is it? What does it mean?
to... AET is all electronic tolling. So the plazas that are there today at the Atlantic Avenue interchange, they will be converted to only electronic, meaning you won't have to stop. And that project starts construction later this year. Yeah, and correct. So that's a project that's coming up first, and the others are much later.
Well, can you tell me about that project? Can you start that project? And that's going to, in your opinion, alleviate the on traffic?
Yes, yes, sir.
Speed up from Atlantic Avenue onto the turnpike?
Yes, it will help with the flow, and that's the whole point, because people will not have to stop. You'll just, so even if you don't have a SunPass, Florida is tolled by plate. And so you'll still, so it'll be cashless. So all electronic tolling means no more cash, okay? And that so what the turnpike calls an AET conversion, I see your hand, sir, I'm getting ready to get to you. AET conversion, that's gonna actually happen in March of 2021. So we'll start what we're calling Phase 5C, and that will include Glades and Atlantic and Boynton Beach Boulevard. So this coming summer, you're gonna start seeing construction related to the AET project. And then there's a Phase 8 that will include the Latana Toll Plaza, and that'll start this summer as well too. And again, the going cashless, which will then help with the flow at what you're speaking to at the Atlantic Avenue interchange, that conversion, when we go cashless, is going to be 2021. So it's going to be a couple of years before you see that. Hold on a minute. So this gentleman has been patient in the back. So
wait, we're running this meeting. We need to have this here, and then people are going to come up. But we were going to do that after your.
Yes, we were, but I'm trying to be flexible. It's fine.
I just want to make a note here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's wonderful you're doing all that construction there and planning for the future, but look around you. We need to know what's going to be done now. And how fast and how. And how much additional interruption are we going to have when you start tearing up that interchange?
So
that's important to us. We live here And we live here and we're suffering here. Okay?
Understand. And so there'll be, and we do, and we understand the frustration, and I know you didn't want to hear today that it's still years down the road before you're gonna see some physical improvements. The challenge that the department has is that we have a massive system throughout the state, and so we have to prioritize, not saying that you're not important, and as well as working with the MPOs, the TPAs, and all of the funding that takes place, right? So we have to get all the funding in line, and then projects begin to get lined up, and that's what you're kind of seeing from a work program standpoint. So if your TPA, wants things to progress, quicker, then they've got to coordinate and work with, with the DOT and determine whether or not that's even possible. I'm not telling you that it is, but the point is that we have to work together. The money can only go so far, and we have to program according to need, and that's why you're seeing the time frame that you're seeing, which I feel the frustration, I hear the frustration, so we hear you loud and clear, and we wish we could tell you that it's going to start tomorrow, but we want to be truthful with you, and we don't want to tell you something that, okay, well, it's going to happen next year, and then it's going to be several years down the road, okay?
Okay, can I just ask you, are you almost finished with the presentation?
I'm pretty much, so this was pretty much, I was going to speak to Boynton Beach Boulevard. It's pretty much the same thing, and then we've already spoke to the other project that I didn't note is there's also a resurfacing project that's going to be taking place on the Turnpike, and that's going to be starting this summer as well. So there's going to be a lot of, that is going to be basically south of Atlantic. So that red line that you're seeing on the map in front of you, that's the resurfacing project. So it'll be from south of Atlantic, just a little bit north of Boynton Beach Boulevard. Okay? And that'll all be starting this summer.
Thank you very much. So this sort of concludes the informational portion, and we're going to start here with all the questions. Okay, one at a time. Okay, thank you.
My name is Fred Storch. I'm a resident of Polo Trace. I also own a unit at the Waterways Development and on the board of directors there. What really surprises me is that there is no coordination between the county commissioners and the Florida Department of Transportation as to what is going on. In our immediate area, namely at Polo Trace, GL Homes is now building 324 homes. At the old golf course at Marina Way, there are 550 units going in. Now there's talk of a commercial development and residential on the corner of Hagen Ranch Road in Atlantic. What are you going to do with all this traffic? Why do we have to wait 7 or 8 years to see the needs in this community fulfilled? Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have an answer to that?
So this is my best friend here, Miss Kim Sampson, and she is a traffic engineer, also a consultant with the Florida Turnpike with AECOM.
So I just wanted to address the question about coordination between the county and the Turnpike or DOT. One of the ways that we do coordinate is the county shares with us the information on what they've approved in terms of land uses. And that information is used by us to determine what the traffic forecasts are for these projects. So for the next 20 years, we have a picture of what the underlying land uses are and what they're approving, and we incorporate that into the analysis.
I'm Barbara, I'm from Delray Villas, and I have to say that I'm very disappointed in the coordination between the TPA and yourselves. The AET is not going to affect Atlantic Avenue as much as you would like it to. And I suggest any one of you, please, drive your car down Atlantic Avenue between 4 and 5:30. And unless you're standing and sitting in that traffic, you have no clue what we are talking about, and now you're going to add more houses and more commercial buildings. I think you're being very unfair to the residents who already live here. Thank you.
That wasn't a question, but go ahead.
My name is Carl. I live in the Bellagio Reserve.
The question I have about the AET, will that incorporate that cleared land that's right on that corner, or are you simply going to be putting in automated toll booths to what's already there? In other words, are you going to be increasing that turn lane? So. No. Well then, what you're doing is basically useless. Thank you.
Just one thing that you probably are aware of it, that there are 2 lanes going in on the north side of Atlantic Avenue, one to go to the north and one to go to the south for the turnpike. You're aware of that or not, because it's the county, that's the county project. And we did invite the county here. Ramsey's not here.
Oh, yes, he is.
Yeah, Ramsey? No, I don't see him.
there.
But it was the engineer, but it's the engineering department that is handling that with the, yes. And as a matter of fact, this is the schematic of the 2 lanes that are going in. But that cleared lane is a civic parcel, the cleared area is a civic parcel, but actually the northern part of Atlantic Avenue and the southern part of that parcel is what they're, the 2 lanes, and that's supposed to help. But we did get a little touch on that when the engineering department came here a few months ago to talk to us, but you know what, we'll get more information on that. That should help a little bit, but that's the 2 extra lanes that we're talking about.
And just to clarify one other thing, when we do the all-electronic tolling, it's not just simply a matter of removing the toll gantry. There are some modifications on that portion that you drive to get onto the turnpike to allow you distance to make your decisions. Right now you have to make your decisions before the toll gantry. You're going to have a lot more distance to do that. And even though you think it won't help, I'm a traffic engineer, it will. It'll allow people to go faster, not speed, but to process faster, which means more people will be able to get through the signal.
I just wanted to talk about that cleared land there and talked about a project from the county. I want to make clear that project has nothing that we can do about it. That's a building going to go up, it's going to have offices for the county. The county commissioners are moving from Congress Avenue up to here by the turnpike someday. Yeah, but that's going to be a building. 2 stories, no higher.
Hi, my name is Harriet Fisher. I live at Emerald Point, and I'm the co-chair of a little organization called the Common Sense Development Coalition. We have about 24 different communities involved, representing 11,000 people. I have 2 questions. The first is a simple, what does that mean? One of the young gentlemen mentioned the words, no build. I'd like to know what that means.
No build means we don't do any improvements at all.
And
So
what
we
are the
always-
factors of such a decision?
So it's just a part of our PD&E process. So the graph that I showed you up here, let me go back to. So we talked about that the second box there is the PD&E process. And that's when we're looking conceptually, like what options are, what choices, what alignments, what engineering design can we do to alleviate what during the PD&E we have a purpose and a need. So we state the purpose of the project and then the need of the project. So what are we trying to achieve by the project? And when we do that, we then come up with concepts. And one of those concepts is a no-build, meaning we do nothing at all. And then we use that kind of as a baseline to then evaluate all the concepts. And then that helps us then come to the public information meeting to tell you, okay, we looked at 5 concepts. We then evaluated those concepts against each other based upon doing nothing at all. We ranked those. And so it kind of gives us our baseline for ranking the different alternatives, and then we can kind of give you the information so that you can understand why we made the engineering decision that we did relative to that particular problem that we're trying to solve.
And for our purposes, the area between the Atlantic Avenue corridor between the Florida Turnpike and Jog Road is that meeting that you're talking about should take place about 2022? Is that what we're talking about? Atlantic Avenue between the Turnpike and Jog Road.
February 22. When we would have the meeting.
Okay,
February
so-
22.
So by then, you all will have an idea of what you want to do.
Yes, ma'am.
In that particular area.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now I want to switch to the possible funding date of 2027. Many people have come up here and mentioned that we have developments being put up before we have the resources to be improved as far as transportation. We feel that the 2027 date is incompatible with the needs of our neighborhood because new developments are going up and they're being approved by the Board of County Commissioners. So I must say, because people will kill me if I don't, that as the representative of 11,000 people, we believe that there should be a moratorium in building in this area until we all catch up. And I thank you.
So again, that has to be, that's for, the county has to.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, amen. So I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong place. I said amen, I'm in church, I'm sorry. So just so that you all know that we hear what you're saying, but again, make sure, and I'm sure you have already conveyed that message to the county as well.
Go ahead.
I'm Jim Rosenthal, I'm a member of that group, and I also live in Lexington Club. But I'm totally confused.
Okay.
A couple of months ago, I was standing right here talking about the problems on Atlantic Avenue. And one of the answers I got was this added turnoff before the light to the turnpike that was going to alleviate some of the traffic. I didn't necessarily believe it, but now I don't see it. Now it's being called a civic site. Yeah, so I think you were addressing it, but it's not solid yet.
Here's the thing, no, it's all solid. The thing is that these are the Department of Transportation. It just so happens that those 2 lanes that we're talking about is a county project. And that's what David Ricks, when he came here a couple months ago, explained.
Right.
But we'll send that out again on email and we'll show you the updated plans for that. And that whole cleared site that goes up the side of the turnpike, that's a future civic pod. And a civic pod is something that a civic or governmental building is going
The
to
entrance
go
to
on.
the turnpike was going to be completed in 2021. When I
So-
was standing here 2 months ago, the northern entrance to the turnpike.
I don't, who told you that? That wasn't me who told you
No,
that.
it wasn't you, you weren't here.
Okay, so then they misinformed you, and it could have been that they had,
I was going to alleviate traffic on.
so it's a county project, so Bert is saying that what you're speaking to is gonna be a county project. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, I'm just trying to give you an answer to the question.
Is that going to be 2021?
Take it up with the county.
We think it's gonna be 2021, so if the person that was standing before you, that's the county project that they were speaking to, then it is gonna be 2021.
The county project.
The county
We'll
project.
get more information on that. It's confusing because what happens is that we're told a couple of months ago that there was going to be 2 lanes going, right? Then we see a couple of weeks ago a whole cleared land. It's just coincidental because that cleared land has to do with the Tuscany development and the civic pod that the developer had to give to the county, and that's being turned over. And it happens that...
Actually, that was going to be on Atlantic Avenue one time.
The civic site was actually going to be on Lyons Road. That's a whole convoluted way that this thing worked, but the whole thing is that it's on, that cleared land is not county land yet. It's owned by the developer. It is being turned over, I guess, in the next few months. They're platting it now. And they need to, by the document that is between the developer and the county, they needed to clear it of all non-natives and bring it to a certain level of soil elevation. And that is what they're doing now. It just happens to be coincidental because the Alliance, when we first saw that, because we're up and down Atlantic Avenue, we have our finger on the pulse of it all. When we saw that land cleared, somebody called up and asked, and we said, it's probably being cleared for those 2 lanes that we're supposed to be getting. And then when we looked into it more, it's part of where the 2 lanes are, but the rest of that is all a future civic site. And the county has no structural plans right now for that at all. But they do have in the contract between the county and the county developer and all, they put in that they have to come to the Alliance of Delray before they put any county facilities on there, so that we can tell our communities and tell you what's being proposed, so that we can go and ask.
So none of that clear land will be the approach road though?
The turnpike? Well, think of it this way, use your imagination right now. The Atlantic Avenue is here, and they've cleared the land like right out to Atlantic Avenue. Part of that is our easements that the county has, that's probably where the 2 lanes are going to go. But I have an email to the engineer who came here two months ago, and I asked him for an update of that plan, which we will put on email this week when I receive it. But yeah, that's our understanding. Yes, that's right. We're the information people, and what's very significant today is the fact that when we had the TPA here a few months ago, Nick Uren, he did tell us something about the timeline. It sort of doesn't exactly coordinate with what we're hearing today, and that is something that we will get straightened out and explained to us, and we thank the engineers here for coming. But there's only so far we could go today, and then we get more information, and then we just keep bringing it, and the people, the most important thing is that people get the input. Go ahead.
Alan Goldman, Valencia Falls community. Been down here for 17 years and seen a lot of development, obviously. There has been talk that there would be another east-west corridor north of Atlantic Avenue to ease the traffic on Atlantic Avenue. There is no on Flavor Pick Road. There is by the Publix, right by that shopping center there. It would seem natural to me to alleviate the traffic off Atlantic Avenue would have more east-west corridors to north and over the turnpike. That's where all the problems are. Linton dead ends right past Jog Road. Okay, so you can't go west on that. So all the traffic is funneling into Atlantic Avenue. Flavor Pick would seem and it was talk that it was going to be extended, but now I don't see anything here, any talk. I mean, is there any thinking going into this, having another east-west corridor north of Atlantic Avenue over to 441?
So again, that would be local, so county, right? County owned. And so it would have to be the county that would have to take the lead on that project.
Okay, I'll answer that question. Flavor Picked Road is actually supposed to go through to 441. Probably, and I don't have the dates, and it probably is, and right now, I'm just saying it because I don't have a single piece of paper, so I'm going to find out this week about that, but it is, I recall from all the maps we've seen of future, it's supposed to go through Flavor Pick to 441, which is north of Atlantic. Okay, and that's the thing, we'll find out and we'll put out an email. You're on our email list, right? We'll make sure that it goes out on email, it goes out in the flyer. But I'll get the information, whether or not it's true or not, definitely, you will find out. But that's one more, I don't know how much that's going to help and the time it comes, and it really doesn't matter because our issue is the expansion of Atlantic Avenue. Yes, okay, and one more question, and we'll probably be finishing it up, and we can continue this. You know what, I think September, October is another good time to bring more information here and another speaker.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Carol Klausner. I live right off Atlantic Avenue. However, neither one of my two questions have anything to do with that. The first thing is, I'd like to know, when you say cashless tolls, that means that a certain amount of technical wizardry goes into the toll booths. can those sun passes be adjusted so that they become nationwide, at least to blend in with Easy Pass up north?
We're underway with implementing that system now. So
when?
Well, it's coming up on a year that it was implemented last summer. However, there's still tweaks and things that are taking place. And as you said, computer whizzes. And Chad, I don't know if you have anything else beyond what I'm saying, but so it's about a year that we're coming on, and they're still working things out. But pretty much in Florida, we're good to go from that standpoint. Now, nationwide, that's a whole nother conversation. So it is, so if you have a sun pass, I'm sorry, come on, Chad.
I'd like to know if I could use my sun pass in New Jersey on the Garden State Parkway or the New Jersey Turnpike or any of the roads leading up.
So I don't have the answer to that, but Dr. Laura, if you want to send it to me, then we can hunt it down and get you an answer.
Thank you.
All right.
My next question
Yes, ma'am.
is about the land acquisition that you need in order to expand 6 lanes to 10 lanes. Now that area between Lyons, on the turnpike, from 2 lanes to 4 lanes with a possible 6 lanes from Lyons Road to 441. Most of that, I would believe, most of that land that you need to acquire is held by different owners. Suppose an owner refuses to sell to you. I can understand you're taking the land from the county, but what if it's privately owned? How are you going to get the land necessary?
So it's not a word that we like to say because we like to have partnership, but it's eminent domain. So the Department of
We'll take it through eminent.
The Department of Transport, Florida Department of Transport has the authority to do that. Now the decision will be made whether or not that will be done, and which we cannot speak to right now because we don't know what the design is, and that's a whole part of the right-of-way acquisition process. 24 to 36 months. That process, and so that's handled by the right-of-way department within the Department of Transportation.
I know most of us would love to have you come back in several months and give us an update.
Which you're very welcome. We're more than willing to do that, but honestly, a couple of months from now, we would show you the same presentation, which we can do if that's, and we can kind of maybe have a few updates in the process, but truthfully, minimum a couple of years before we would really have, and that's kind of the last slide that I have up here, just kind of speaking to our process, and theirs is pretty similar. So we're tentatively, hopefully going to be starting our, full-blown PD&E reevaluation in 2020. So that will be next year, and I can't tell you when because we're going through negotiation with my consultants, Bert being one of them. And then once we start that PD&E reevaluation, hopefully within about a year, it could be a year and a half, it could be longer. And another big part of this is our coordination with FGT and Lake Worth Drainage District as far as if we get agreement, then we can actually say, okay, we are confident that this is what we're doing because we're still kind of coordinating with them and having stakeholder coordination. We have to go through a process where they actually give approval that, okay, we agree with what you're designing, and if we've got to do whatever, we're going to do our part so that you can construct your project. So we're talking, a few years, and then construction is way down the line. Okay? Just if you need our contact information, our information is there. Feel free to email us. Dr. Lori has our email addresses as well. We're here. If we don't know the answer, we will definitely get you the information that we can. Hopefully information was beneficial, and you all have a great day.
that this engineer just told me that you might find interesting is that their fiscal year starts in July. So the construction would possibly start in July 2026, not 2027, because their fiscal year starts in July 2026, okay? So this is all just very technical. It has to do with these timelines and these years and all. We'll get them all straightened out, and we will explain the fiscal years. We'll explain that all, and we'll get it out to you. Next month, it's a terrific program, soil and water conservation, and we will bring back, we'll ask the county and the TPA, that's the money people, September, October, we'll bring them back earlier in our fall programming. Have a terrific month, and look at the emails and watch your flyers, because a lot of information will come out on this month.